McGill curl-ups. So obviously once you get yourself down to the floor safely without aggravating your back, we're going to be lying on the floor. The first thing you do is we're going to take one leg up and leave one leg down. What this does is it generates a kind of a natural torque on the pelvis, so it's a lot easier to hold that kind of slight arch in your lower back, which is what you want to do. It's very important you do your rehab exercises for long-term success, is that you want to do things in a way that encourages you, to learn how to hold that natural arch without kind of going into flexion or kind of, going too far and hyperextending it. So one of the ways to do it on the McGill curl is to put one leg up, one leg down. The other way is we're going to take the hands to this sort of shape and just put them into your lower back, like that. Now, if you've got real tight upper back and shoulders, you might find even getting into this position with your hands here, it's going to create just a little bit of aggravation on your shoulders. If that's the case, we can use an alternative, is just get like a small rolled up towel, just put it in that arch in your lower back for a bit of support, and then you can just rest your hands on your stomach instead of behind, which is what I'm going to do. But the traditional way of doing it, with the hands in the small of the back, just to support that arch. And there's two parts to this movement. So the first part is what we call creating an abdominal brace. So what we want to do is you want to tense here in these muscles around our core, so that we've got that stiffness here, and then we're going to kind of come up against it and kind of squeeze it. So the easiest way to learn that is to get your fingers, just push into your sides here, and then I want you to push against your fingers, squeeze in here and the muscles in here, and kind of push out against them. And that's what we call your brace. So a lot of people, when they do it, they kind of push in and go and try and hold their breath to do it. What I want you to do is just to learn to fight against your fingers, push against it, but still be able to breathe like I am, and still be able to talk and hold a conversation. So it's separate to what my breathing's doing, but it's on the whole time. Okay? So you might need to spend some time just learning that brace, pushing against your fingers, because that's the most important part. You've got to get that first before we can actually do the movement. Just take some time to practice that, get a clear understanding of what you're doing, like trying to fight your fingers and get some tension here. Okay, so once you've got that brace, you've got it switched on, so I'm going to switch one on now. Like that, squeeze in. Then from there, we're going to lift elbows, shoulder and head about 1 centimetre off the floor. So it's a tiny movement, looks like nothing. So we brace first and we lift just to there. See, I've barely moved. 3 deep breaths. And down. A little rest, and then back in again. Brace. Tiny movement. 3 deep breaths. Like that. And you might be able to hear it in my breathing. There's like a little bit of trembling as I breathe. As I kind of, especially I let the air out, kind of gets a bit unstable, and you can see that sort of trembling. You probably can see me twitching a little bit. If that's going on for you, it means you're on the right track. Most important thing is not to come up too high, so don't kind of like crank your elbows right up and throw your head forward like that, because it's going to have the opposite effect of what we want. What we want to teach you is to be able to use that brace and challenge it without having to change your posture too much. We're just literally taking the weight off the floor and then back down after we've done those 3 deep breaths. Now, what you want to do is build to 3 sets of 8. Initially, it might be quite tough for you, so you might want to do sort of sets of 1 or 2, which is fine. If that's the case, you might want to do them more frequently throughout the day. So rather than trying to do 3 sets of 8 straight off the bat, if you can't do them, maybe do 1 or 2 sets of 1 or 2, and then an hour or 2 later, come back and do a few more until you've got control. What I would say is that if between sets, if you can, is I would alternate which leg goes up and which leg goes down. Reason being is that when you get really good at this, you actually feel like you'll create a brace, not just from here and in the sides, but it'll go all the way down. Obviously on the side that you've got the leg up, you're not going to feel that, so we want to make sure we're balanced on both sides. So say we're going to do 3 sets of 8, we'll do 1 set with 1 leg up, 2nd set the other leg, 3rd set back to the 1st leg. Or the other way to do it is to do it in kind of like sets of 4, so do 4 with 1 leg and then 4 with the other one. And so what we're doing there is we're trying to learn how to control, challenge, and then build what we call our abdominal brace. And that's going to be the kind of the foundation that underpins your long-term success with being able to build a strong and robust back. Is being able to have complete control over this, separate to what your breathing is doing, and be able to switch this almost like armor. you switch this armour on to whatever degree you need it to based on what you're trying to do. So if we get that nice and strong, just sort of walk around day to day, subconsciously it's going to be stronger, so it's going to make it easier to walk around and not with the back aggravated. But then when we need to do some sort of heavy or awkward lifting, so maybe in the gym you're squatting, or maybe moving furniture, lifting one of the kids, whatever it may be, you know that before you'd move and try and use your hips and your back, you can switch on that brace, lock in that armour, keep everything locked in, and then do whatever it is you've got to do, and then you can just let it go again once you don't need it. But take your time, practice the brace first of all, and then you can add in the movement. Again, if that position with your hands behind you aggravates your shoulders, put them on the front, but just use a little towel just to preserve that arch in your back. Whatever you do when you do this, you don't want to train yourself to flatten out that arch completely, because that's going to be dangerous if you learn that, and especially when you try and progress into, get back into the gym or sport, that's going to cause problems later on. But take your time with it, brace first, learn to challenge the brace. 3 deep breaths, build up to 3 sets of 8 in total, and especially with this exercise, actually the better you get at it, the harder you can make it for yourself. So once you get really good at it, you can really make it agony by really squeezing that brace, really building up that armour. So you don't really need to change the technique or add weight or do anything weird to it to make it more challenging. Just your natural ability and your skill will, to switch that on will keep it progressive for you.